Hello everyone, welcome to Chess Visor, your wise choice to improve your chess. Let's talk about this game played between Praggnanandhaa Ramesh Babu and Ortik Nigmatov. And it was from round number 2 of the Asian Continental Championship. Before we check this game, if you're watching this channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified for the future videos. So here, Prag was handling white, so he opens the game with 1d4. We have knight f6, c4 grabbing more space, e6 going trying for the Imzo Indian, but that is being avoided with the move knight f3, pawn to d5, queen's gambit decline here, knight c3 with the bishop to b4. We are seeing the Rogosian defense here, and here I have marked 3 moves here, especially c takes d5, bishop to g5, and queen a4 check. These are the most commonly played moves in this position. So we have queen a4 check and knight c6. The point of giving this check is to simply force the knight to come to c6, so that the c pawn would not be participating in the game very quickly. So here we have a3 questioning the bishop's post, so he simply gives up the bishop pair. So b takes c3, knight e4 going after c2, c3, so bishop f4, and here Prag simply ignores the threat on the pawn and he plays or develops the bishop to f4. So we have knight takes c3 after queen c2, the knight is going back to e4. We have h4 by Prag here. It's all a very common move in this position. So we have knight a5 going after the c pawn here, and Prag simply plays e3 and also closes the pawn chain. So after e3 he plays c5 here, and after c takes d5 we have e takes d5, and now comes bishop to d3, so threatening to take on e4 twice. So he goes queen e7 defending the same, and after this move here Prag plays simply d takes c5. And in this position, another interesting variation to mention is that white could go bishop to b5 check. I know that okay, white is simply played bishop to d3 just now and he is wasting a couple of tempos here. The point is that you would be interested to know the ending here, because after bishop d7 you may be thinking, okay, what is the plan? So simply exchange the bishop like this. So we have knight e5 hitting the queen, and the knight is centralized itself. The queen goes to c8, queen a4 check, knight c6, and we have to simply capture like this. And after f3 kicking the knight goes to knight f6. Finally we can play this move bishop to d6, and this move is going to simply stop black from castling. So after c takes d4 we can simply play queen takes d4, and as you can see we can simply put the king on f2 and we can easily connect the rooks, or if you want you can simply castle also, and the rook would be connected very easily. And not only that, black king is going to be in the center for a longer duration. And one more thing is that as you can see these pawns are very weak and it is sitting on a semi open file, and that's going to be a target for us. That's why I thought okay, this variation was interesting to show. So but in the game we have seen only d takes c5. So knight takes c5. We have in this position simply Prag could simply castle on the king side and allow the knight to capture on d3, and after queen takes d3 knight c6, and after queen takes d5 bishop e6 queen b5 a6 queen b1, and the game is equal, and black could even castle and continue to play. But in the game Prag plays this complicated move, that is bishop takes h6. Why it's complicated? At first sight it looks like a blunder, because most of the beginners would see only 1 or 2 moves here, because after pawn to g6 my bishop would be trapped, right? So why did Prag play that move? Let's see why. Here in this position international master Ortik Nigmatov simply plays bishop to d7, and instead of that if he goes g6 then he is gone. Why he is gone? Because the g5 square is completely weakened, so we can simply put the knight over g5 and you cannot do anything about this. If you play pawn to f6 then your g6 is falling, and your game is your position is falling apart and you are going to lose the game. So here he plays bishop to f5, simply gaining time. So queen c3 can be played here, so threatening the 2 undefended piece here. The natural move f6 can be met with I think queen takes a5 is a blunder, because I can black can simply take on f takes g5 and your 2 pieces are hanging and black is winning. So going back, the ideal move is to simply play the move pawn to g4. The idea is very simple. You are actually trying to deflect the bishop from this diagonal, because once you take this you are gone. So that's not possible. So the bishop has to maintain itself on this diagonal, right? So he has to play something like bishop to d3. And after bishop to d3, we can go rook d1, threatening to capture twice on d3. So let's say d4, queen takes a5, and now comes queen takes a5. After this move, as you can see, I think black is okay, but still, it's very complicated. So going back in the game, we didn't see that variation. Rather, we see only this move, bishop d7. So castles by Pragg here, rook to c8, and here after castling, still you cannot play this move, d6. In this time, actually, we don't have to play knight g5. Rather, we can simply sack the bishop on g6. After f takes g6, you are going to play this move that is queen c3. So two pieces are hanging. So going back in the game, he plays rook to c8, and here okay, the rook is simply x-raying the queen, but you don't have to worry, or you don't have to move the queen away. Rather, you are going to play this absolutely crushing move, that is rook a c1. It's because there are multiple tactical ideas are available for white here, and interestingly, black does not have any good discoveries by the knight. And to show you the tactical idea in this position, I'm going to put the knight somewhere like knight to e4. And now if you play knight e4, we can simply sacrifice the queen over here. After bishop takes c8, you are going to give up the queen back, and or the king back, because it's a completely lost position for black. So king d7, we are going to play bishop f5 check, and you have to black with the queen. But after queen queen is being captured, so king takes e6, and you can grab the rook in the corner, and it's a dead position for black. So this kind of dangerous moves are available in this position. That is why he plays the move, tactical move, rook a c1. So here he goes knight to c4, and another interesting move is to simply put the pawn on b6. That's also playable, but he plays knight to c4. After bishop f5, in this position, actually after knight to c4, it is better to play the move bishop to g5 rather than playing bishop f5. But Pragg plays bishop to f5, bishop takes f5, we have queen takes f5. And as you can see, in the long run, black could try to try to grab the a3 pawn, and reroute the knight to put it on an optimal square and hold on the position, so that he can try to push the passes on the queen side in the long run. But in the game, he plays queen d7, trying to exchange the most active piece for white. So we have queen b1, and in this position you cannot grab this free pawn, because d7 is here undefended. So we can simply play either queen a1, queen b2, so both are same. So queen b2, knight c4, and we can simply win the rook. So after rook f8, bishop h6, knight e6, queen h7, and the rook is completely trapped. So going back in the game, he plays rook to c6, trying to involve the rook like this. And I think black need not to castle on the king side, or castle at all, because and now he has involved this rook into the game, and it can go either to the queen side or to the king side for the attack. And also you have this open file for the rook, so it's a very interesting move to play. And here Pragg simply plays rook f d1, and the threat is rook takes c4. So what he plays rook b6, and that's a blunder, because rook b6 does not do anything about this idea, right? So rook takes c4, and the only thing is we have to simply park the queen to some safe square, and he plays queen to a1. And in this position, he thinks, okay, there is no threat in this position except queen takes g7, so I'm going to play the move queen to g4. And the problem is, still Pragg is going to take on c4, because once you take, and you are gone, because queen e5 check, the game is over. Because in this position, actually Ortik Nigmatov simply resigns the game. Why he resigns? If you move the king, it's very simple move, queen rook to d8 checkmate. Going back, what else can be played by black? So here he could try knight e6, so that's very logical. So defending g7, blocking the check also. So we can simply put the queen on the back rank to evacuate the king, and then grab on h8, and you have a piece up, and it's a completely winning position for white. So going back, another interesting move is to simply black with the queen itself. If you black like this, same move, so queen b8 check, king e7, and we have same kind of variation. So queen takes h8, so it's completely winning position for white. So that's why, considering all of this sequence, In this position, after queen e5 check, Ortik Nigmatov simply retains the game, and it is just 24th move of the game, and it was a very crushing game for Praggnanandhaa. So that's it for the day. If you enjoyed my quick commentary on this game, please give it a thumbs up. Still, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified for the future videos. As usual, this is Chess Wiser, your wise choice to improve your chess.